Shalom Rastafari. Thank I Yesteling. This is your brother Wendim here. Here of the line of Judah Society of His Imperial Majesty. In region 4 of the LOJ Society. And our last vid that I came with. And I was speaking on the FEMA regions. And how America had divided them. Well, how the government divided America into 10 regions. This whole FEMA region, a lot of people have been speaking on the FEMA camps and martial law and all this and that, but I'm not concerned, because during these times the Psalms say themselves that his people would seek shelter in him, and that's I seek to do. So while everyone's complaining on what's going on in the media and the news and everything, we seek to build on this house that we have here, this Ethiopian-Hebrew house. And I'm actually bring up two things. Speaking on the houses of Rastafari, I'm not going to talk about the LOJ regions and regions 10 and region 4 and what I and brother Salam, the ambassador of Rastafari South, and speaking with the brother, and him and Wendim Baruku, they're in that region 6, and I thought they would be in the region that I was in, region 4 that I'm in. It's actually the biggest region. It contains Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi. So we got a very large region here. But I thought the brothers would be in that region, but Salam, he's actually in Texas, and Baruku is in Arkansas, and I believe so. They're actually in region 6, and I'm not sure if we want to keep the regions separate, or if we want to come together on, even we're in 2 different regions according to the map and everything, but are we going to come together and try to make one region, or shall we each have our own region and we cooperate within? Because I'm not sure if any of the brothers or sisters, and especially the sisters, if you're in this region or region 4 of the states that I've stated. So we're going to reason on that some more. And I've been meaning to bring this forward. My nephew has been in some trouble lately, with Babylon and law, and he spent some time in them prison cells. And the last time he actually back into a little bit of trouble. But the last time our nephew was in the prison system, I was beginning to preach Rastafari more and more. Our nephew took interest in it, and he actually researched Rastafari in the jail cells, and it's pretty interesting what he came up with. I think that in the jails you really wouldn't get a true sense of what, well, good understanding to begin with. You can't really understand if you ain't got the understanding, but a good understanding of the trueness behind Rastafari, and not just the traditions of our brothers in Jamaica and everything, but actual truth to he who he be, I thy majesty, Karamawi Kadamawi Haile Selassie. But to my surprise, they actually have, my nephew brought this home. I actually let him print this out here. It's a little 1-page article on the movement of Rastafari, and to my surprise, it's actually pretty good. I actually know many that go by the name of Rastafari that they wouldn't even like adhere to what's been said on here. You know, they wouldn't even have a little understanding of what the sheet says. But I seek to bring this forward. I'm not sure if this was a Wikipedia or anything, but it's a really good article on the movement of Rastafari. But here we are. The Rastafari movement is an Ethiopian-Hebrew spirituality that arose in the 1930s in Jamaica of Benjamin. It's sometimes described as a religion, but is considered by many adherents to be a way of life. Its adherents worship Haile Selassie I, Emperor of Ethiopia, some as Jesus in his second advent, or as God the Father. Members of the Rastafari way of life are known as Rastas, or the Rastafari, more correctly. The way of life is sometimes referred to as Rastafarianism, but this is considered derogatory and offensive by most Rastafari, who being highly critical of isms. You know, I don't like isms and schisms. And they dislike being labeled as an ism themselves. So just off that first paragraph, I'm like, okay, this is true, you know, and we're gonna continue because they actually speak on the mansions of Rastafari, and to some surprise, a lot of people know about 3 mansions, you know, Nabingi, Bobo Shanti, 12 tribes, but they actually have the 4th in here. And I think this is a pretty old document because they still call this mansion the Ethiopian World Federation. But we're about to get to that. The name Rastafari, we in the second paragraph here. The name Rastafari is taken from Rastafari, the title Ras, and the first name Tafari Moken of Haile Selassie before his coronation, before the ascension upon the throne of great King David. In Amharic, Ras literally is the head, is an Ethiopian title equivalent to prince or chief, while the personal given name Tefadi means one who is respected or feared. Jah is a biblical name of God from the shortened form of Yahweh or Jehovah, found in Psalms 68:4 in the KJV. Most adherents see Haile Selassie I as Jah or Jah Rastafari, an incarnation of God the Father, the second advent of Christ the Anointed One, i.e. the second coming of Jesus Christos, the King to earth. Now, I was somewhat surprised by this. Really. You know, in the prison system, you wouldn't think that knowledge of Rastafari would to this extent, you know. But let me continue. Many elements of Rastafari reflect its origins in the USA, the Caribbean, and Ethiopia, among Negro spiritual preachers seeking to study the scriptures away from the plantation Christian mentality of their former slave masters. We don't say masters, we say master. You know, that's an important Hebrew link with the word master. It actually means oppressor, or as I Rastafari say, down presser. So You know, ones like to say, oh, those Negroes, they don't know how to say master. No. They saying it exactly right. But continuing, Ethiopian Christianity traces its roots to the Church of Alexandria, founded by Saint Mark, and its 5th century continuation in the Coptic Church of Alexandria. Rastafari holds many Jewish and Christian beliefs and accepts the existence of a single triune deity called Jah, who has sent his son to earth in the form of Jesus, or Yeshua, who they have here in parentheses, and made himself manifest as the person of Haile Selassie I. Rastafari accept much of the Bible, although they believe its message and interpretation has been corrupted. Okay, the Rastafari way of life encompasses the spiritual use of cannabis, or the cannabism, that we find in the Exodus of the Old Testament, and the rejection of the degenerate society of materialism, that's idolatry, oppression, and sensual pleasures, called Babylon. It proclaims Zion in reference to Ethiopia as the original birthplace of humankind, and from the beginning of the way of life calls for repatriation to Zion, the promised land, and heaven on earth. But I understand we first must be mentally repatriated before we take that physical repatriation, if we were to take that step. But it's the mental repatriation, that being reborn, becoming that child once again, being born again in Yeshua, in the true way of His Imperial Majesty, who Himself said, "For my part, I glory in the Bible, so as do I and I." Okay, moving on, literally moving to Ethiopia physically, but mentally and emotionally repatriating before the physical. Okay, so you see they have it. Rastafari also embraced various Afrocentric and Pan-African social and political aspirations. Some Rastafari do not claim any sect or denomination. You have a lot there. And thus encourage one another to find faith and inspiration within themselves or ourselves, through the glory of His Imperial Majesty, which is Bible. Because for my part, I glory in the Bible. That's what I and I King said. But although some do identify strongly with one of the mansions of Rastafari, here we are. The four most prominent of these being, and at the time it had, let's see if we can get a close up. Here. But they have here the first being the Ethiopian World Federation, the Nyabingi, the Bogoshanti, and the 12 tribes of Israel. So, and I, being of the line of Judah Society of His Imperial Majesty, and it is an off-brand, well, it is the new, from what I think the Rebbe said, what Wendim said, it is the new World Federation, and this is our house, and look forward for I and I Block Talk. I and I actually working on the Block Talk, and when I was speaking to Wendim on my best Shalom earlier, well, through the family reasonings on the Facebook, the instant messenger, we actually, you know, coming together. We see them. Well, I've made on our own blog talk because I was